Peace, family. I just wanted to come really quickly today to just speak a little bit towards a beautiful realization that the Father put in my heart this morning. And as I'm working on several different projects at the same time, it was interesting that a topic was brought, come to heal, or come to a heal. And that means like fully coming to a submission without like questioning. But it sounds very aggressive when you say it up front. But a lot of times what we realize is that when we stop teetering is really often when we find that solution quickly, because we have decided, which means to cut and move directly forward towards that point of what you have committed. Like there's no other options. You've decided to move forward in that choice that you've made to just go ahead. Like there's no lukewarmness, there's no double-mindedness. You're just moving forward in that selection. I guess to bring this all to a culmination and like to bring this to a true point and not to waste too much time jumping into this, this morning I arose, and I thank the Father first and foremost for allowing him to wake up today, because there are many that don't. But I arose today and I was like, I need to use this day wisely. My beloved and I ended up reading in Jasher the book of Jasher, chapter 12. And it was a really good chapter. Let me really reiterate this, and I'm going to give you a quick summary of the chapter, as quick as I can make it without missing the point. In this particular chapter, it spoke of how Abram was born. He was 50 years in his grandfather's house. To give you some recap on the previous chapters, when Terah and his wife had bore Abram, there were stars in the skies that, similar to how the birth of Christ, like there was a star in the east, but then that star in the east also went and consumed 4 other stars from the corners of the heavens. And so the wise men that were there to witness the birth of Abram recognized that this was prophetic. And they went back and they had reported this information to King Nimrod, and were pretty much telling him that this child that was born on this day is going to be so powerful, or to inspire a nation to be so powerful that they will consume all the kingdom of the earth. And so fast forward a little bit, just a little bit, because I can't go to the main point. Fast forward a little bit, when Nimrod heard word of Abram's birth, he then wanted Terah to come and bring his son so that Nimrod could purchase it from Terah. And Terah was like, no, I don't want to give you my son. Like, that's my progeny. Like, if you didn't want me to sell a prized horse, I definitely advise you to go back and read these chapters, or just even read chapter 10 through 12, because they're really good, meaty chapters. But if you're not willing to give up your pricey, the best choice horse that you've given and gifted me, because Terah essentially had what we would say in a modern day is like he had a really good government job. Like that job was high paying, highly respected. He was making a good income, good living for his family, and he was respected throughout the land. And he didn't want to cross up against King Nimrod, because Terah had many idols that he submitted to. He wasn't necessarily a follower of Christ, a follower of the Most High directly, even though he was of the progeny of the sons of Shem. And the world had already kind of gone wayward since the days of the flood. So because of the fact that Abram's life was being threatened by the existence of King Nimrod, Terah hid him in the caves for 10 years, and then after 10 years, he had sent him to live in the house of Shem and Noah. So he was learning directly from the righteous forefathers that had been saved and redeemed during the times of the flood. So he was learning directly from the source. He knew the Most High and was committed, chosen to serve the Father. So just to speed it up a little bit, now that we've summarize a little bit on the fact that Abram had been in Noah's house for 50 years, and then he came back out to live amongst his father at that point. When he returned to Terah's house, fast forward through this, but he had destroyed all the idols that Terah had erected in his household. So now Terah's like, oh man, this man is coming destructive. He's wicked because he has torn down my idols that I've been serving for these such and such years. And now he's gone and snitched to Nimrod that he never killed Noah in the first, or excuse me, he never killed Abram in the first place. So now this come get my man's that was threatening you all along, like, I'm just going to snitch on him to tell you that this is where he is. Like, come get Abram. I can't control him. I don't know what to do. So Nimrod pursues Abram, captures him, captures not only Abram, but he captured a couple people from his house, or from Terah's house, that followed Abram. He captured Haran, his brother, his older brother. This man's like 30 years older than Abram, but he captured him in the group, and they threw them all into jail. Now, to get to the real point of where we are now, this is a real-time conversation. Haran felt a strong inclination in his heart to forego the old ways that he had used to serve and live his life out. He then thought to himself, like, I should really follow the ways of Abram. Like, I feel like something he's doing is right, and something that is in his heart is showing some true validity, because there are men pursuing him because he has some unspoken power that I'm not yet recognizing and not yet understanding. However, I'm a little bit scared because, like, this feeling is pulling at my heart, telling me that I need to serve the way that Abram does, my brother Abram does. That's my little brother. Like, I'm supposed to be the smart one, right? So he kind of weighed his options, and he thought to himself, maybe I should just wait. Maybe I should wait and see who comes out victorious, essentially, in this situation. If Abram overcomes this hardship, if Abram is able to make it through this obstacle, that being in prison, being threatened to be killed, and all these other things that are in front of him, if he is able to come out victorious on the other side, then I will follow the ways that he is following. On the flip side, if Nimrod becomes victorious and he's able to overtake Abram and things of that nature, then I'll follow Nimrod. I'll follow the things that he does, all of the statutes that he's committed or like submitted over the land and things of that nature. All of his jurisdiction, I won't question any further. Who is the more powerful one? I'll wait and see. So the father then put it on the heart of Nimrod to give punishment by fire to all of the men that were captured with Abram and Abram himself. Abram, on fire for the Most High, prayed without ceasing, understood the relationship that he developed with the Father, understood the power, the immense power that the Father had over the earth and over all things, because he created those things. So who is he to challenge that? So he just moved with unrelenting faith towards this outcome, that it would play in his favor, that this was not his time to die. So Nimrod prepared a fire hotter than any of the fires, like threw all the wood into the furnace, made sure that nothing was going to escape, bound the men's arms and feet with linen and tossed them into the fire. Now, on contact, pretty much all of the men, they shut the door behind them, all of the men up in flame, burned to ashes. Out of all these men, including Haran, including Abram, out of all of these men, the only one left unscathed, as we know, whose heart was fully committed to the Father, was Abram. The linen binding his wrists burned away. His undergarments remained upon his body. And for 3 days, they left him in the fire, thinking that there would be a change in the outcome, that he would still die. Even if he didn't die first, he would still die. So after the third day, King Nimrod had sent down some of his men to pull Abram from the fire so that they could kill him by their own hand. And by trying to retrieve him, opening up the furnace door, trying to retrieve him from the flame actually kicked back on them and burned their faces, so that 8 men died on contact. Out of the multitude that they had, they died in just a couple minutes. Abram been in this flame for 3 days. So one thing that really got to me out of this little conversation piece that was shared in Jasher was 2 things that exposed us, or this, for one, exposes 2 things for us. I'm going to read this direct because I don't want to mess this up. That one, we cannot feel entitled to think that we will have another day to choose, or another day and time to witness the miracle that was the grand miracle to turn the hearts of men. And 2, when you are called, don't hang up. Haran's shift in conviction cost him his last-minute salvation and grace / covering from the Most High, because he wanted to wait for evidence from the actions of men. Instead, he perished in the same fire Abram withstood for 3 days, one that burned so hot that it killed 8 of Nimrod's men trying to bring him out. To serve the Most High is to be on fire, not lukewarm. To be kindled and fed by the same wood, and I put in parentheses the same word, because at the core, those are the same root letters. The word is the wood with the spirit. with the Ra, the spirit, the Rakah, that created all things and surpasses all things. After Abram's fire experience, 300 men of Nimrod's court went after Abram to his house, to now follow in the way of the Most High. Sit with that. 300 men of Nimrod's court were then following Abram to his house to learn from Abram direct in how they are actually supposed to serve the Most High. One thing that can truly be learned from this is that Abram's life, which trickles down as we learn as the readers and to become that person, that vessel, your life is a testimony and witness to the Father's immense power. If you commit to Him, even under pressure, and 2, He will put you around the people you need to be with when the time is right. Which brings me to my next point. A devotional that I've been reading and that I've referenced several times here in my videos from time to time. Now, this devotional has felt really like it is constantly lined up to the ways that I've been feeling on certain days. Well, not even certain days. Like every day that I've read in this, I've been like, this book feels like it's perfect for me. Like, thank you, Father, for sending this message to me at the time that I needed to hear it. Like, I've been going through things. Like, even in this, it's just been so, like, spot on. To the point that I had it in my vanity, my little bit of vanity this morning, that I was like, oh, maybe it was set on her heart to write this book so that it could specifically come down for me at the time that I received it, so that it would perfectly, trickle down into this effect. And maybe I'm a main character, and maybe I'm the one who's like literally going to get the most impact from it. But in that, I was also humbled because of the fact that I've been sending occasional pictures of days, like for my mom and to my couple other friends who have both appreciated me sending over those pages for that particular time. And like, again, this author, she was put on her heart this mission to write this book for me specifically, right? But as we just read in Jasher, or as I just summarized and felt that information coming from Jasher, is that your life and the devotional that I'm reading, that's her testimonial, or that's her calling to complete this task, to write this book. That was his call to walk through the fire. That's one of his anointings, or one of his appointings, to bring it so that he completes that task. And by that task and that event occurring in his life, the Father used his life to then bring other people back to the fold. Because remember, only in Noah and Shem's house were people truly living by the way that the Father wanted us to be living. Like, all of the generations, Abram was the great, like I calculated this 2 days ago, Abram was the great grandson. I believe it was 8 generations. It was probably like the 6th or 7th generation out from the flood. And in that time, mind you, people are living for just shy of 1,000 years at that point. That's why Noah is still able to kick it with his great power removed grandson to teach him the ways of the Most High. So I say all this to say that these lifespans were long, but you have to realize that the motions and the commitments that you make today are all in the plan of the Father to not only benefit you and the greatness that is supposed to come to your life, but furthermore, if you commit to the ways, the plans that he has for you, to give you to bring you a good end. And I'm not going to quote that verse properly. I don't know why I off and on knowing that verse perfectly, but I'll cite it down below. He uses your life in that current time to bring that fulfillment for the assignment that he's put on you. But by you standing and not being lukewarm, to move forward in that action daily, you then are able to be that testimony to convert the hearts or change the hearts of men to then come back to the Father. And that's what we're supposed to be doing all the time. Like, yes, you can have like a job and something that's going to bring, living wages for you on a regular basis. But at the end of the day, our job is to fulfill the task that was assigned for us. Haran did not get that opportunity because when he was given that opportunity to change his heart, he chose to go back in the traditional ways of observing by his eye, his fleshly eye, to see what man was going to do. He'd been given the warning, but he'd been given the warning shot. Are you going to concede to that and change and do what's asked of your heart? Or are you going to stay the same and perish? It may be uncomfortable. I'm sure that Abram, even though he was covered in the fire, I'm sure it wasn't the most comfortable environment to be in. Like, I can't imagine that he didn't break a little sweat. Just a little sweat. I mean, he may not be dehydrated, but he might have been perspiring a little bit in that fire. And that's uncomfortable, yes. But he was still covered. There was still going to be cool air that touched his face after he left that furnace. And there were many days, because he lived to a good ripe age and bore many children, or bore a child, or bore 2 children. He bore a couple children. He had a couple Shemite children outside of Israel. But my point comes back to being that he lived many days to experience after that time that still brought a lot of sheep into the fold. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and act like this devotional that I'm about to read the page for today was. And this is why it's also still on point with everything that I, like, the Father just be uploading information and then she's like right here with the alley-oop. But I'm not going to act like this is only for me. It's not. Everything's not just for me, and that was a spider on my neck. That's fun. But anyway, being in nature, gotta love it. Sorry if I flung you in the water, friend. But I will clip that. But like, again, he's going to put you in this space to be around the people that are going to help complete the puzzle pieces, or complete the puzzle that you're working on. All of our lives are a piece of the puzzle. So to not want to act in the way of your assignment will slow down the completion of the puzzle, but the puzzle will still be worked on regardless. So allow yourself to be the one who's committed and not getting tossed to and fro. I don't know if that was a proper wrap up, but we're gonna rock into this. So the devotion, leave outcomes up to me. Follow me wherever I lead without worrying about how it will all turn out. Think of your life as an adventure, with me as your guide and companion. Live in the now, concentrating on staying in step with me. When our path leads to a cliff, be willing to climb it with my help. When we come to a resting place, take time to be refreshed in my presence. Enjoy the rhythm of love, live close to me. You already know the ultimate destination of your journey and your entrance into heaven. So keep your focus on the path just before you, leaving outcomes up to me. Psalms 27, verse 13 through 14, and Exodus 15, verse 13. All praise to the Father. Peace.